Syria, a land of ancient civilizations and a rich, vibrant culture. But for the last 13 years, it has been known for one of the most devastating conflicts in modern history. Today, the country stands on the brink of a new chapter, with the overthrow of President Bashar al-Assad marking a turning point in this long and brutal saga. How did Syria get here? Let's take a closer look at the events that lead to this moment. It all began in 2011 with the Arab Spring, a wave of pro-democracy uprisings that swept across the Middle East. Syrians, too, took to the streets, demanding political reforms and an end to decades of authoritarian rule under Bashar al-Assad. But what began as peaceful protests soon turned violent as the regime cracked down hard, detaining and killing demonstrators. This ignited a nationwide conflict that spiraled out of control. By mid-2011, what began as demonstrations had evolved into a full-scale civil war, with various rebel groups rising against Assad's government. Over the years, this war became one of the most complex conflicts in the world, with local, regional, and global powers vying for influence. At its height, Syria was a patchwork of competing powers. Assad's government, backed by Russia and Iran, controlled much of the West. Rebel factions, supported by Turkey, the US, and Gulf countries, dominated parts of the north and south. Meanwhile, extremist groups like ISIS carved out their territories in the chaos, unleashing untold horrors on the Syrian people. Over the years, Syria saw pivotal moments: the fall of Aleppo to Assad's forces in 2016, the defeat of ISIS in 2019, and the ongoing humanitarian crisis as millions of Syrians were displaced. The war left over 500,000 people dead and a country in ruins. But in 2024, the tide began to turn against Assad in a way no one had fully anticipated. Years of conflict had already weakened his grip on Syria, but a series of coordinated opposition offensives in late 2024 dealt the final blow to his regime. The offensive was not just a result of internal dissent but also the culmination of external pressure and strategic alliances forged by the Syrian opposition. Backed by key international allies, including the United States, Turkey, and European powers, the Syrian opposition forces launched an aggressive campaign to reclaim territory from Assad's forces. Turkey provided logistical support, weaponry, and a safe zone for rebel groups to regroup. The United States supplied advanced intelligence and tactical airstrikes targeting key regime positions, disrupting Assad's command structure. The factors behind Assad's downfall were numerous. Years of crippling economic sanctions had drained the regime's resources. Widespread corruption and nepotism within Assad's government eroded public trust even in his strongholds. The morale of his forces was at an all-time low, especially after years of brutal fighting and defections from within his ranks. But the most controversial and surprising player in this equation was Israel. For years, Israel maintained a relatively low profile in Syria's civil war, occasionally conducting airstrikes against Iranian targets within the country. However, reports have now emerged that Israel covertly supported certain factions of the opposition during the 2024 offensives. Israel's role was strategic rather than ideological. Its primary goal was to weaken the influence of Iran, one of Assad's staunchest allies, and reduce the presence of Hezbollah, which had used Syria as a base for operations against Israel. This involved providing covert funding, arms, and intelligence to opposition groups operating near the southern borders of Syria. These efforts disrupted the supply lines of Assad's forces and neutralized key Iranian-backed militias, tilting the balance in favor of the opposition. While Israel has not officially acknowledged this role, analysts suggest that its involvement was pivotal in ensuring the success of the December 2024 offensive. The combined weight of these international efforts, alongside relentless pressure from within Syria, led to Assad's fall on 8 December 2024. After over 2 decades in power, Assad fled Damascus, and his government collapsed, leaving a power vacuum in the country. Today, Syria's transitional government, led by Mohammed al-Bashir as Prime Minister, is tasked with rebuilding the nation. Their immediate priorities include restoring basic governance, rebuilding infrastructure, and initiating dialogue to heal the divisions caused by years of conflict. However, challenges remain, as regional and international actors continue to vie for influence in Syria's future. While the transition marks a significant change, the challenges ahead are immense. Millions of Syrians still live in displacement, the economy is in ruins, and the scars of war run deep. The world will be watching as Syria takes its first steps toward a new future. Syria's story is far from over. The end of Assad's rule is just the beginning of another chapter in this nation's history. Will the transitional government pave the way for peace, stability, and democracy? Only time will tell. What do you think lies ahead for Syria? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Mad Narratives. Together, we can bring untold stories to light.